In 2003, shortly after the release of Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl, carpenters the world over took on the seemingly impossible task of bringing fantasy into reality, and the first ever real pirate ship was built by prop master Titanic Naval Gazer. The seven seas were then littered with rodents with an affinity for pastry, and the world of piracy had to be relegated to the domain of wargames. Fortunately, pirate ships are great for wargames. Small, cramped decks cut out on the ability for gunners to hide so that those that do the real work can get up close and personal. And the ship itself provides context and a reason for the fight over something as important as cargo or control of shipping lanes, or something as petty and insignificant as who gets to stand on the poop deck. With little more than some foam and a pen, a ship worthy of the Dread Pirate Roberts can be made cheaply and easily. Let's get into it. First things first, grab a chunk of Pink Panther foam along with a box cutter and a ruler and mark the midpoint of the foam or bow of the ship, along with a point about 2/3 up the side. Draw a convex curve connecting the bow and one of the markings on the side. Cut along the curve and grab a piece of paper. Set the foam on the paper, aligning the straight edges, and trace the curve with a pencil. Then trace it again with a box cutter for redundancy. Trace the curve with the foam and be left, or port, with a symmetrical footprint of the ship. Then grab a piece of dollar store foam board and cut a long strip 10 inches wide. Peel off the paper and lay the footprint of the ship long ways across the foam, tilting it upwards to measure the length of the sides. Cut the whole thing into a large rectangle. Cut the rectangle in half hot dog style so that it's 5 inches by however long the sides are. If you've recently had a large meal and need to add a poop deck, draw another curve of the side railing to the main deck about 3 inches tall. Cut off the excess and trace the curve on the starboard side, and then make like Dave Coulier and cut it out. Cut out another square the width of the footprint and the height of the poop deck to act as the ship's aft. Resist the urge to paint it pink and write juicy across the planks and set it aside. Bring it back out along with everything else and mark half-inch segments going long ways or horizontally across the ship using a straight edge and a pen to carve planks into the foam. On the port and starboard side, carve vertical lines every 6 inches, offsetting the lines 3 inches every other layer to create the illusion of individual planks. Do the same for the inside of each piece for what will remain visible. Once done, trace the piece of Jacques Clouseau foam on another piece of dollar store foam board to act as the main deck. Set that aside and grab your favorite mustache comb and brush every plank long way to mimic wood grain. If you don't have a mustache, start growing one and pilfer a golf club brush from that guy that only golfs as an excuse to drink before noon. Next, clean out your hot glue gun after using that and a mozzarella stick to try to make fond glue, and start gluing everything together. And to answer your question, no, it wasn't nearly as brilliant or tasty as I'd hoped. Get the main deck back out and shiver its timbers while secretly wishing that Miss Piggy would have ended up with Tim Curry. Bring back the main body of the ship and a few offcuts of pink foam. Cut out small pillars for the main deck to sit on top of. Make sure to glue one where you want the mast to stick out. Dab a bit of glue on top of all the pillars and lay the main deck down on top of everything. Then, using the same techniques as earlier, build a small box that'll create both the captain's quarters as well as the poop deck. If you're wondering why it's called a poop deck, it's because poop is a French term for aft, meaning that it's a separate deck closest to the rear end of the ship. Also, it's where the captain goes poop. Next, grab a large kebab stick and a drill bit or a drywall screw if you're disorganized, and punch a hole into one of those internal pillars for the mast. Check the fit before cutting out a rudder to be glued onto the back of the ship. Finally, it's time to base coat with the trusty mixture of Mod Podge and black paint. Make sure to get it in all the crevices left by the golf club brush. Let dry and coat with apple barrel's burnt umber thinned down with a little bit of water. Let dry again and dry brush the whole thing with warm buff, all the while wondering how in the world Treasure Planet was a commercial flop. Set the ship to the side and grab a few kebab sticks and a tote bag or other piece of disposable fabric. Cut a square of fabric more narrow than the ship and slightly longer than you want the sail to be. Glue the two crossbeams to the top and bottom of each sail, rolling each crossbeam in and re-gluing it. Glue the crossbeams to the mast, making sure to leave some slack, and then gluing another piece of fabric over the mast to reinforce the sail. Then create a spare sail by rolling some more fabric around a kebab stick and use that to cover up some of the more visible mistakes. Use some twine wrapped around the handle of a paintbrush as spare rope and build a sailor's wheel out of some more kebab sticks. I must admit that before the filming of this video, I couldn't have given a ship, but after walking a nautical mile on the big blue wet thing, I can confidently say that I think I've contracted a case of cabin fever. But building a boat is a lot like having a kid, and it's considered bad form to not give it a name. And in celebration of this channel reaching 100 subscribers, the name of this vessel will be chosen by whatever comment has the most likes a week from today. And despite the fact that the prospect of letting the internet name my boat disturbs me more than the story of the night your grandma met Errol Flynn, it'll be fun to see how much engagement I can farm out of it. Have a good one.